What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full 90. The international break has come and gone, and today we are back doing the Premier League, the Week 13 predictions. As you heard, my voice did crack a little bit there. I've got kind of a sore throat, so recording this, having to be energetic and stuff might be a little bit difficult for me, so just bear with me if I croak, if I struggle, if I cough. Just bear with me. But today, I'm going to give a massive shout out to Absolute Unit FC for leaving his predictions on the previous Premier League video. If you want to be featured in this video on the channel just like him, then leave your predictions for this week down in the comments below. It's always nice to see how you guys get on, how you guys compare to me with your predictions. So before we do go to the Week 13 predictions, I'm going to start with the previous week of results. Now, it was an interesting week, so let's just get started with how I did, and then we'll move on to my predictions for this week. So I've got them up on my screen right here. Right now, kicking it off, we had Cardiff versus Brighton. I said the game would finish 1-1, and Cardiff actually got the late winner thanks to, I guess you could say, a red card from Brighton. It was very close to being 1-1, a perfect score, but it was 2-1 nonetheless. So, not a bad prediction, but we'll move on. The next game, Huddersfield against West Ham. I predicted a 3-1 win to West Ham, and Huddersfield actually managed to hold them to a 1-1 draw. So, a very interesting result there for the two teams. The game after this, it was Leicester against Burnley. I thought Leicester would get a fairly decent and convincing 2-0 home win, but it was actually just a 0-0 bore draw. Leicester are going through a shaky period. Obviously, they had those tragic events that happened with the club. Whether that's affected them a bit mentally, they just haven't been firing as you'd expect Leicester to fire. You know, the first half against Arsenal, I believe it was, they were playing extremely well, and I thought maybe that Leicester team could really push forward this season, but they're still yet to find their form, so a 0-0 there. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. I predicted that Bournemouth would get the 2-1 win here. It was the reverse. Newcastle getting the 2-1 win, so they're picking up a bit of form as well. The next game was, I believe, my only correct score prediction of the weekend. I predicted a 1-1 draw between Southampton and Watford. If you asked me a month ago, I would have said a win to Watford, but something about Watford was off for me, and I was correct in that. The Crystal Palace-Tottenham game. Oh, you can hear my voice. The Crystal Palace-Tottenham game, I predicted a low-scoring 2-0 Tottenham win, and it was actually even lower scoring, a 1-0 win to Tottenham. Liverpool versus Fulham, I predicted 3-0 to Liverpool, and Liverpool actually had a little bit of trouble in that first half against Fulham. They got the 2-0 win, but Fulham did have a disallowed goal for offside. Then Liverpool went on the counter and scored immediately, and then finished that game off 2-0. The next game, I said another 2-0 win that turned out to be a 0-0 draw between Chelsea and Everton. I thought Chelsea would get the 2-0 win like I thought Leicester would. And again, that ended in 0-0. So maybe the 2-0s I've predicted for this week, one of them, will end up as a 0-0 draw. Who knows? The next game, Arsenal-Wolves, I predicted a convincing win for Unai Emery's team, 3-1. Wolves playing decently well, getting the 1-1 draw. Arguably could have got a win out of that game. You never know. The Man City-Man United game, I predicted 2-1 to Manchester City. I said it could be 2 or 3-1. It did finish 3-1 in the end. Man City were actually all over Man United. I don't think that scoreline... well, no, I don't think my prediction really reflects how that game actually ended up going. I thought Man United would put up more of a fight, would play a bit better. They were without Paul Pogba, I believe, but Man City just ran riot over Manchester United. So now, we move on to Week 13... Kicking it off once again with Brighton versus Leicester. Bear with me. Okay, I'm going to actually change my prediction here. Oh, do I stick with it? I don't know. I'm going to stick with my original. But bear in mind I'm on the fence about this one. I'm going with my original prediction, which was a 2-1 win to Leicester. I was on the fence just now about changing it to a 1-1 because Brighton have solid home form, and they're having a really good run of form, you know, overall, which is, you know, very good for them. And I think it'd be, you know, realistic. I think 1-1 will probably be the lowest odds for a correct score prediction between these two teams. I think it could happen. Obviously, Glenn Murray he's doing very, very well, but I think Leicester are going to finally be able to pick it up and get the 2-1 win. We'll go with my original prediction, 2-1 to Leicester. The next game is Everton against Cardiff. This is another one that I'm not entirely sure about, you know. A lot of Everton's games have seen both teams to score, when they win at least. When they lose, they often lose, like, you know, 2-0, you know, to the bigger clubs. But, you know, even against lower table teams, they tend to win but concede. So with that being said, and given that Cardiff managed to get the 2-1 win against Brighton, both of those, to me, add up to a 3-1 Everton win. I was going to go 2-0, then I was going to go 3-0, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to go 3-1, Goals either end with a weak Cardiff defence and a strong Everton attack, but a little bit leaky at the back as well, giving Everton a 3-1 win. This next game is a very hard one to predict. It is Fulham versus Southampton, and I am backing Fulham to win this. Obviously, we have Mitrovic, who had a decent international break for Serbia, helping them in their win recently. And I think at home, this has to be a win for Fulham, and it is Ranieri's first game. He did absolute wonders over at Leicester, of course, and I think it's just going to go right for him. Whether he has actually that much to play in the result, even though, you know, it's just his first game, I think Fulham are going to be able to beat Southampton, who also aren't that strong, really. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Fulham. That could be a draw. It could be a Southampton win, but I'm going with a 2-1 win. Come on, Fulham. Get yourself off the bottom of the table. The next game, Manchester United against Crystal Palace. This one's a bit of a brave prediction because I predicted Manchester United to win 2-0. Which, against a team like Crystal Palace, who are good on the break, on the counter-attack, and Manchester United, who aren't the best at the back, that is a brave prediction, but I'm going with Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 0. To continue Man United's upward trend, upwards on the table, ignoring the Manchester City game, of course. That was always really going to happen. And Crystal Palace just sort of sticking in the bottom half of the table, really, for now, I think. The next game is Watford versus Liverpool. This one could be a potential slip-up. Obviously, Liverpool, they've got some thinking to do. A few days after this game, on the Wednesday, they've got PSG in the Champions League, and winning that game would secure qualification for them. So whether or not they'll rest some players, I don't know. But also, they want the title in the Premier League. Of course, they want to remain competitive. So this could have been maybe a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw. But I'm going with a Liverpool win. I'm going with 3-1 for Liverpool. The next game is West Ham against Manchester City. Another prediction to 0 for Man City. I'm going with 3-0. West Ham, they're doing okay. They're doing, I'd say, as well as you'd expect them to, with their poor form at the beginning and then picking up sort of recently. They're doing overall average, like how you'd expect them to do. But I think Man City are just electric. They are so good. They are so good, and they might even rest a couple players for the Champions League as well, but I still think they're going to win this one fairly convincingly. Maybe West Ham will score. It'll be a 3-1, similar to the Man United game, but I'm going with a Man City 3-0 win regardless. Coming up next, we have some big games. Obviously, Tottenham hosting Chelsea at Wembley. This one was an extremely tough one. Similar to my Newcastle Bournemouth prediction last week, the base prediction was 1-0, and it could be 2-1 either way. It could be, I think my initial prediction was Chelsea 2-1, but then I thought about it a bit more. I thought, you know what? Tottenham could win this 1-2-1. So I've just gone with a 1-1 draw, points down the middle. Tottenham games and Chelsea games recently actually haven't been that high scoring, so I'm going to keep it low at a 1-1 draw. Very competitive, chances missed on either side, but I'm going to go with 1-1. The next game is Bournemouth hosting Arsenal. Now, I did want to get tickets and go watch this with my girlfriend and actually make a vlog of the day, but I left it way too late, and the tickets were sold out, which is a little bit of a shame. It's just, whenever I've gone to see Bournemouth play, I've been used to them being in, like, League One mostly, and League Two a little bit when I was a little bit younger, and, you know, it was easy to get tickets. I think you could just go on the door, pretty much, and there'd be a space. Obviously, now, that is not the case with, obviously, a world-renowned team such as Arsenal going there, so you know, that's a little bit annoying. I'd love to see Bournemouth versus Arsenal one day because those are sort of my two teams, my local team and my main team. But I'm going with an Arsenal win here. 2-1. Both teams to score, I think, especially at Bournemouth, is a banker. I think that's going to happen 100%, but I think Arsenal are going to be too strong, particularly in the second half with their pace, with just their experience with winning games like this. I think Arsenal are going to walk away with this win, 2-1. The next game is Wolves versus Huddersfield, and I think Wolves are going to do what they've done a few times here, a solid performance at home with very solid defense, not letting in many goals, not letting in any goals in this case, especially against a Huddersfield team that are on the up given their start to the season. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win here to Wolves, and that's a fairly solid prediction. I would be, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if that came in as a 1-0, so that is my prediction. The next game, Monday, I believe it is, Burnley against Newcastle. Another tough one to predict. Newcastle, they're picking up some form. Honestly, I think if I had to pick a winner for this one, I'd actually pick Newcastle, which sounds surprising coming out of my mouth. But Burnley are at home, they are solid, and although their form is pretty terrible, I'm going to go with another 1-1 draw on the basis that it is at Burnley. Had it been at St. James's Park, I reckon a 1-0, maybe 2-0 win to Newcastle would actually be on the cards. Either way, low scoring. I would pick Newcastle if I had to pick a winner, but I'm going to go with 1-1 here. So that does it for my Week 13 Premier League predictions. Like I said, leave yours in the comments below. Thanks for 2,000 subscribers on the channel. That is absolutely insane. And obviously, coming up in a few days, we've got the big video, the favourite video on the channel almost, and one of my favourites to make, European football Champions League predictions. So be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss that. But that is going to do it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.